Hello everybody, it's me, Ghost Critic. Yes, I'm back. A little later this week, but never fear, here I am. Quite a lot of comics to get through, so let's get right into it. First three, the worst comics of the week. It was just how they had the cheek to put a couple of these out, I've no idea. And of course, at the bottom of the heap, it's Green Arrow. It's issue 15. And it's the very last issue before the reboot, and this is just terrible. It's been floundering for so long. I just thought, oh come on, give Ollie a good send-off please, but this is just terrible. It's not plot driven, it's not character driven, it's just an explosion after an explosion after an explosion. It's just boring. Awful. If you were thinking of picking up a trade, don't bother. Brightest Day Aftermath. The Search for Swamp Thing, issue 3 of 3. Is this an epilogue for Brightest Day? If it was, what was the point? This was just redundant. Nothing happened. That idea of this search for Swamp Thing, the idea that Alec Holland and Swamp Thing needed to be rejoined, there was just no conclusion. Never mind, you know, any semblance of intelligence behind this comic. This was a pure, and I'm as gullible as the next person who bought this. You know, this is just pure money making by DC, and you know, they could have done anything with this. It wouldn't have mattered by the end of next week. It all gets rebooted. You could have had Swamp Thing take over Wonder Woman for all it mattered. Again, pointless, waste of money. Don't buy it in trade. Batman The Dark Knight, issue 5, last issue again. Oh. Even before we knew about this reboot, I was really excited about this title. It was more to do with the Supernatural Rogue Gallery. It had me excited because it was a new series as well, and I expected really good things. It seemed to be going somewhere. And then these last few issues, even with it being plagued by, you know, the shipping coming out, I mean, this title, oh, pointless. It just didn't seem to go anywhere. It picked up all the threads of all the storylines as you were going on. But at the end of the day, pretty lacklustre. Style over substance. Yeah, David Finch, you draw nicely. You know, you have quite a dynamic Batman, and your colours and all that are quite pretty to look at. But you have to have an actual story behind it. No story. Next two were actually okay. They weren't brilliant, but they weren't poor like the last three. Last issue of Justice Society of America. It's issue 54, and someone dies. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Someone dies. There are so many candidates as you read this of who it could be, and do we really care? I don't know. Nice cover, kind of cartoony. Inside, artwork's passable. This wraps up the whole getting rid of the chaos demon-y god thing that that got kind of resurrected. I'm beginning to think this actually wasn't very good. This is why I'm floundering from my own words here. There were some nice bits. There's a sacrifice, someone dies. The bit that made me laugh, oh well, I suppose, yeah, it did make me laugh, right at the end, in the little bit where it usually says next time or to be concluded, it just says never the end. And if anyone had read my Twitter review about this, I just kind of thought, well, ironic, poignant, or ominous. I mean, we haven't got Just a Sight of America in the reboot. Number 41, Astonishing X-Men, and this wraps up the Monstrous storyline with Mentallo. It was okay. It was a fun kind of B-monster movie kind of affair. There's a nice little bit with armour at the end. The artwork by Nick Bradshaw, very nice. It's just a bit of fun, really. There's nothing too deep or too nasty here. Everyone who should get their comeuppance gets their comeuppance, and all's right in the X-Men world. It's interesting that, given what's going on in Schism, Wolverine and Cyclops are being pretty pally here, but still, like I said before, I'm more interested in the other story that's been running along kind of concurrently here, the Meanwhile story. That's really made me more interested, and I think they're wrapping that up in the next issue. Still a fun read. Pick it up. And now for the top 3, which will include my pick of the week. All these 3 comics so close to being pick of the week because they're all brilliant comics, and I cannot highly recommend them enough. But obviously one of them had to be pick of the week, but it wasn't Uncanny X-Force number 13. It wasn't that. This is chapter 3 of the Dark Angel saga, and this is just really good. You know, Remender, still cracking read. So far ahead in the kind of, you know, it's very character driven, it's very plot driven. This being in the Age of Apocalypse, it's just really exciting, it's really fun, it's very dark, it's very dynamic. The artwork by Brooks is still, you know, very good and interesting, and again we're seeing more versions of the Age of Apocalypse kind of superheroes and villains, and it's just bloody violent. And we get an appearance by Dark Phoenix as well. And a nice little cliffhanger to finish it off with. If you have not started picking up this, maybe wait for the trade, or if you find the issues, the 2 issues beforehand, it's well worth the read. And at number 2, just pipped at the post, and oh, this was so close to the Punisher. Number 2, Rucker. It's amazing. I am sorry, anyone who didn't like that first issue, there's got to be something wrong with you, and this number 2 is just as good. Again, Punisher hardly says a word. I don't even think he does say a word. And it's still awesome. He's still doing what the Punisher does best. You know, he's tracking them. He's like thinking so many steps ahead. But is he thinking enough? There is a big reveal for a baddie that turns up, a supervillain baddie. I don't want to spoil it too much, but there was a point. And this is where I want you guys to go back, if you've got Punisher 1, and go back, and I can't remember exactly when, but it's when the gang first come into the wedding reception to shoot everyone down. Look at the background of those panels, and all I'll say is red eyes, red eyes. Brilliant. So good. I'm a huge fan of Punisher anyway. This was always gonna, you know, tickle me ever so well, but it's just beyond expectations. I can't wait for the issue 3. And finally, what could be pick of the week? Pick of the week, and it should have been pick of the week month after month after month here, but you know, I've just started doing this kind of pick of the week thing. But I've always rated this so highly, and it's such a shame that this character, this title, isn't in the DC reboot, and it should be. Rosamund Irving have created and shown an absolute fantastic story. Lasted 6 issues long, but it was engrossing, it was thoughtful, it was beautiful to look at, It is, of course, Zombie, issue 6. What else is there to say about this? It's just a page turner. Again, it's one of those comics that, like Punisher from last week, I've read that issue about 3 or 4 times, and that's something I won't normally do with a comic. It may get a second read. If you know, reading it 3 or 4 times, there's got to be something special about it, and it's the same with this. I envy anybody who hasn't picked this title up yet and then goes out and buys the trade, because they've got to bring this out in trade, because you will just get page after page of absolutely gorgeous art by Irving. I was never a fan, but this, it's just blown me away with every issue. I've loved every page, every panel, every person in it. This is character driven, plot driven. It makes you think about what you're reading. This isn't just, oh, I read it, throw it away. You pore over every single page. I cannot recommend this enough. The sad thing is, David Kim is not in the DC reboot as yet. But DC, if you're listening, please, come on, bring him back. It's a brilliant character. He deserves more attention. And that is it for me this week. Sorry it was a little late. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, it's up there somewhere, down there. You can comment, you can thumb up. If you must, you can thumb down. Have a good weekend. There'll be more videos this weekend. There'll be a hopefully very, very special eBay video. I've got another 4 or 5 packages to go down and pick up from. As for me, I'm out now. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next time.